Hey,
How are you
hello.
today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for being on my show.
I am super excited. I'm very excited. I'm gonna fly by the seat of my pants.
Oh, no
So
worries.
yeah, so I'm just like, yeah, let's do this thing.
Woohoo. Yeah, I was trying to remember last time I talked to you or met up with you. Was it Ozark?
It was pinned con.
FinCon. Okay. I couldn't
Yes.
remember which it was.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
to think about it. It was pinned con, and gosh, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
2019 because well, yeah, I didn't get into 2020 and then it didn't happen and then I guess 2020 is happening in 2022 and now
Yes.
I'm registered to go to 2023 actually. So,
Okay. I
yeah.
think I'm registered for 2022. I don't even know. I think so. Yeah. I think I'm going to 2022.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fun, fun.
You can
Well,
see my
today,
little puppy.
oh my gosh, what a cutie.
Okay.
That is a very cute dog. Was that a COVID puppy?
Pretty much. So she found us in the middle of a thunderstorm. She came to my front door in the middle of the night and wanted to come inside. She was whining and she was scratching at the door and just kind of whimpering. And it was a huge thunderstorm. And she came to us. And so we brought her in and we put up signs and we posted on next door and we tried to find if someone had lost a puppy because she was 4 months and 7 pounds. So she was
Wow.
tiny and nobody had lost a puppy. So it was like, where did she come from? So we pretty much think she was dumped. And I live in this neighborhood where we get animals dumped here a lot. So I don't know why, but we just have this sign over our neighborhood that says, bring your puppies here, bring your dogs. All of our dogs we have found in our neighborhood,
Wow. Well,
all of
that's
them.
lucky for the dogs.
Yeah.
They found
And
you.
us. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's my baby over there chewing on the blanket, but
What a
she's
super
fine.
cutie. Very cute.
Yeah.
Rose, start off, just tell us about your books. You're a YA fantasy author, correct?
Yes. So I write fantasy, and my first series is the Final Life series, and it is a 4-book series about a girl who's had multiple past lives. She is tracked down and hunted in each life by a supernatural villain. And so the story is of her final life and her quest for survival. So it's a survival story. It's a contemporary fantasy. So there's a lot of supernatural powers. There's romance, of course, because I love romance, and a lot of unexpected twists and turns. And that's my first series. So after that, I took one of those characters and brought her into the Havenwood Falls universe. I don't know if you know the Havenwood Falls books.
I've seen
Oh,
them, but I haven't dove into them yet.
yeah. So Havenwood Falls is a fictional town in Colorado where supernaturals live in secret. So it's a shared world, and authors go into the shared world and bring their characters to interact with the town. So I brought one of my characters into that series. And so I have one, two, three, I have 4 novellas in the Havenwood Falls universe. And then when COVID hit, I was kind of at this impasse where I really didn't know what I wanted to write or what I wanted to do. And at the time, Fae was really gaining in popularity. And I thought, okay, I'm going to jump on the Fae train and write Fae books. And so I did that. I started writing Fae, and I've published 2 books already. It's the Fae Bloodlines series, and it's about a Fae princess that crosses into the forbidden human realm. And she meets, of course, a gorgeous human who gets entangled with her 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 family drama, it's not really drama, but her family is doing some terrible things and he gets caught up in that. So it's so exciting. And then now I'm working on the next generation, which is the story of their daughter.
Oh, fun.
And it's Fae Legacy. So it's the Legacy series. So I have Fae Bloodlines and Fae Legacy.
Okay, and no, so I have to know, I have a Fae book. I have one, and my second one will come out for pre-order next month. So I knew nothing. I know I knew nothing about Fae before I wrote them. The only thing I knew was like Midnight Summer's Dream, and not very well, which you would see if you read my book. And Tinkerbell, like that's as much as I knew about fairies, and a little bit about fairy rings, and things like that, but nothing. Well, I guess from True Blood, I kind of knew like Sookie and the fairies.
Yeah.
But I knew nothing, and I didn't even know Fae was getting popular. Like, totally wrote this. I wanted to be in an anthology about mental health. So you were supposed to write a fantasy character had a mental health problem. So I wrote in, for whatever reason, right when this lady told me about, oh yeah, so the postcard that like promoted this anthology had a fairy on it, and it was like such a compelling image. I was like, this fairy is beautiful. I'll write a fairy. And like literally, I was at a con and I wrote my short story in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it didn't get accepted. It's about a fairy who had anxiety and like anxiety attacks, and she was a fairy princess who, you know, it wouldn't really be acceptable for a princess to have these anxiety attacks. So that's kind of how my world started. But tell me, so can the human go into the fairy world in your stories?
Yes.
Okay.
So the way that I have set it up in my universe, so the Fae realm, it's called fairy, but the actual place is called Favenly. And in Favenly, so Celeste is my Fae princess, and she is very curious about the human realm because they all know about the human realm, but it is forbidden because eons before there was actually a Fae human war. And so the way that they traveled between the realms was through these shimmery portals that you can actually manipulate and make into a ball or stretch them out and make them into like a doorway. And so after the Shimmer War, all of the shimmers were put in a safe place so that nobody would tamper with them. So in the beginning of Fae Bloodlines, and the first book is Fae Away. So the beginning of Fae Away, she finds a shimmer. And she's like, whoa, I've got this shimmer and it's forbidden. But, you know, what do you do when you come across something that's forbidden? You have to have it, right? So she opens up the shimmer, and every shimmer is attached to either a place or a human. And so she opens it up and it's attached to this human, beautiful, gorgeous Hispanic guy. And she's like, whoa, who is this? Because he's got this dark, handsome features. And she's just intrigued by him. And meanwhile, he sees her through the shimmer too, because he's like, whoa, what's that? But he comes from, his name is Julio, and he comes from a long line of curanderas, which are kind of these Mexican healers. Like his mother has these gifts where she can kind of predict things. She can read tarot cards. She can read palms. She's got kind of this connection with the spirit world. He has it too, but he doesn't want it because he kind of wants to be a normal guy, right? And so he sees this vision. Oh, another thing I forgot is that he can also see ghosts. So spirits. And so he thinks she's a ghost. And so they kind of start communicating a little bit through this shimmer, but she discovers that, you know, she doesn't discover, but she knows that she's got this life that she has to live in Favenly, where she has to have a suitor, she has to carry on the name and la la la. And so eventually she's like, you know what, I need to put away this fancy and just stop seeing this human. And she does, until somebody comes to her and threatens her life and says that there's something going on with Favenly in the human realm. So then it's like this whole adventure starts.
Oh, that sounds so
I
fun.
know,
I
it's
love
like,
it.
what? And I am like you. I did not know a whole lot about the Fae world. And so I read A Court of Thorn and Roses, of course, which everyone's like, you need to read that. So I read that. I read Tassanja Odette's book, To Carve a Fae Heart. Wow, so good. And then I read a couple of like novellas and short stories. And then I'm like, okay, I think I know everything that I need to know. And then I just started writing. But I also was doing a whole lot of research in the background, learning about faes, you know, like you can't touch iron. Iron is deadly to the fae, and about the fae offerings and about just how ruthless they are. And so I had to learn a lot about them before I went at gangbusters. So writing the book was really slow for me. So slow. Was it slow for you?
Well, see, the thing, I didn't do any of that. I still haven't read a Fae book except for mine. I want to read yours now, but so after the fact, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. So yeah, after I wrote my book, I researched all the Fae lore, and I was like, oh wow, I got it right on most counts.
Hey.
But I didn't have any like iron in it or anything like that. They must not, in my world, they must not, because they have iron weapons. So yeah, so I actually did nothing before I started writing. I just wrote it. I made up the whole world. They live in Middle Earth, which is the Fae realm, which is under our upper earth, the human realm. And
Oh.
you go through these fairy rings that are portals between upper earth and lower earth, and then you upper earth and middle earth, and then you have lower earth, which is hell, where the evil spirits live. And the fairies are supposed to protect the humans from the evil spirits. And that's why they were created in the first place. But if the fairies go to the human realm, they can go, but they're like dead to the fairies at that point. They can't come back, or they're not supposed to come back. And humans can come into the Fae realm, but they can't go back. So, so those are kind of my rules. And fairies have powers in the human realm, like they can hear people's thoughts, and they're extra fast and strong and all those things in our realm, but in their realm they're kind of normal to each other. Like they can't hear each other, or they're not super fast compared to each other. I guess they're the same as each other. But so yeah, that's just sort of what I made up. I didn't really know anything about the fairies, but I do have this cool newsletter, and maybe you should join it so you can see what you think.
Yes.
I did all this research on Fae lore and all these, like, all the fairies in literature, and I have this Fantasy Fiends newsletter that you can join, and then you get like a sequence of 8 emails that has all the fairy literature that you could ever want to know. Like,
okay, I totally need that.
Yeah, so I want to read your book, and then we can like cross read each other's books, and
yes,
we could have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I find that I'm still learning a lot about the Fae world. And I mean, even though I'm writing the 3rd book right now, I feel like it's just so much to know about it. Yeah, and you know, another thing that I love about the Fae world is the treachery of the bargain, you know, striking that bargain that you're like, oh my gosh, do I want to strike this bargain? Because Fae are so devious and they twist their words. And so you don't really know what you're bargaining, because you think you're bargaining one thing, but you really are bargaining something else. I also really love that. It's like, so I brought that a lot into my 2nd book, this big bargain. It's like,
oh,
whoa.
Interesting. Yeah, my Fae aren't like that yet. So we'll see if I go on that twist and turn. And I usually don't read in the genre that I'm writing when I'm writing it, because I don't want to be influenced. I just want it to be my own.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of why I didn't. And now I'm just scared to. I'm like, everybody else is going to be better than mine, so I'm not going to read it.
It is awesome, I know, and I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, I know.
What's the name? What's the title?
The first one is To Be a Fae Queen.
Ooh.
I wish I had it here. I don't. I should. But yeah, so we need to trade and then we can talk some more.
Okay.
That would be super fun.
Yeah.
And I really like this Havenwood Falls. Is that what you said it was?
Yes. Yes. Havenwood Falls. And yeah, Havenwood Falls was such a fun collaborative effort because like I had my own standalone novellas, but then I also wrote in their Academy anthology. And so my characters aged into the college, and that was fun because then I got to do some more stuff with them a little bit older. And I actually co-wrote a couple of the novellas in those anthologies with some other authors, and that was so much fun. I had never done that before, and that was like just a really good time.
Yeah, I've talked with several authors who have co-wrote, and they said it's so inspiring and so fun. Like if you get stuck, the other person can help you, like,
Yeah,
what's
yes.
going to happen next, or how do you get these characters out of where they are, or, what's the next plot line?
Yes, like literally I would like, sit down and write this whole scene, and then I'm like, okay, what now? And then I would put like a big note and I would say, what happens now? Because I don't know. Yeah, so it was good because then we were able to bounce off ideas, and it's like, okay, you take over. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I have linked my two series together. So I have my Fae was at the end of the finale for my Kingdom Journal series, and then those characters are going to be weaving themselves into my Fae series. So
Ooh.
that's a lot of fun. I can't let my characters go. So
Yeah.
I
How
have to
did
have
you, yeah, for sure. How did you link them?
Well, I had written that novella that I told you about, the fairy novella, before I wrote the last of my Kingdom Journal series. And I have her come and help them in the battle against the witches. So there's some good witches and bad
Ah.
witches, and my characters have to battle the bad witches. So she comes, she feels bad for them and that this evil witch is doing this, and she feels like it's like part of her duty as well, because she's supposed to be protecting the humans, and if this evil witch gets controlled, then the humans will be in danger. So she kind of goes rogue and helps the humans. And so that's her way into their world. But then, so now I'm in the next, well, not in the next book, because this is book 2. In book 3, there's going to be more interaction with those characters, and I won't give too much away about that.
I love that. And I think that's kind of the thing to do, right? To cross-pollinate your readers and your stories is to take something that's common, like a character or a location or a family, because I kind of did the same thing with the Final Life series. So in the Final Life series, one of my characters is Trent Avila, and he becomes a central character and a hero in the story. And in Fae Bloodlines, I have Julio Avila, which is Trent's cousin. So my bridge with my series is my characters as well. So it's like the Avila family is really the common thread.
Very cool. And you said they're healers, sort of like witches, a little bit like witches, and they can see the dead.
Yes, they're like witches. So, they rely on intuition, and they rely also on herbs to make healing, creams or teas or whatever. But they really kind of have this ability inside to just feel things and sense things. So they are kind of like witches. And in Fae Bloodlines, the Fae actually call them witches.
Oh, okay.
Even though the family, the Avila family, they're just regular people. They don't think of themselves as witches.
Right.
But the guy's like, whoa, I'm a witch. So he kind of gets that title from the Fae.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So they're sort of like spirit healers connected to the spirits. That's neat.
Yeah. So, and right now I'm writing the 3rd book, and oh my gosh, I'm having such a hard time with it because I don't know about you, but I can't really feel a book all the way in my veins until I have the character's name picked out. So I'm having a hard time picking the name of my character, which is so weird because I have never had that problem before. Like I always know, okay, this is going to be Celeste, this is going to be Julio, this Dominique. And I was like, okay, I felt it, right? But right now I'm not feeling it with the character's name. So I was calling her Camilla, but I don't know, I wasn't feeling that. Now I'm calling her Aliana.
Ooh, that's
So
pretty.
isn't that pretty? So she's half Fae, half Hispanic. So I wanted to have something that sounded kind of a little bit fantasy, but also very Hispanic. So that's why I was like, Aliana, that's a very common Hispanic name. And then I'm like, what if I do something like Araceli? That's another Hispanic name. But then if I have it in print, how many people are going to see that and know how to pronounce it, right?
Right. That's hard sometimes. And sometimes I will even put like the pronunciations. The first time I put the name in there, I'll put the pronunciations or either on the back cover sometimes or in the description. But yeah, I usually look like I know my character's traits and then I look for a name that means that trait. So that's like my little giveaway for my characters, because like I named my witch Alina because she's the child of light, and Alina means child of light. So
yes, and I thought about Alina, but that is also the character in Shadow and Bone?
And there's an Elena in Vampire Diaries. There's many of them, and I think they're kind of named for the same reason, because they mean that light, right? And I tried to get away from it, but in the end, I was like, this is what my character needs to be named, because that's why she was named that. That's who she is. That's what her mom named her because of this. So, right. And I do spell it differently and pronounce it a little bit differently, but in the end, it's, a derivative. There you go. Thank you. But yeah.
Yeah. And I thought the same thing, because I thought, is Aliana too close to Elena? Because, I'm actually right now listening to Shadow and Bone because I've been doing a whole lot of listening to books because I just don't have a whole lot of time to read. And I find that if I, can just play the book while I'm doing something, that I can like do two things at once. So I'm like, Alina, that is so pretty. And then I'm like, Aliana, is that too close? I don't know.
I think it's different enough.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's such a pretty name.
It is a very pretty name. Yeah, I wanted to name my daughter Gabriella, and my husband wouldn't let me. So
what?
I know.
I love Gabriella, and I'm also thinking of Gabriella because that's also such a gorgeous name, traditional Hispanic name too. So I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know what to do with this name.
I have some weird fairy names coming out in my next book. So I'll be excited to see what people do with those.
Yes. Very exciting. So when's that book going to come out? So it's going to be up for pre-order soon.
Yeah, November 10th. And that's the cover reveal and pre-order. And then it comes out in January. Yeah. So. I know. And the first one's coming to audiobooks next month too. So I'm really excited about that.
Hey, exciting.
Yeah, because I listen to a lot of books as well, but a lot of times if they don't have an audiobook, I'll just have Alexa read it to me. I don't know if you've gotten that hack yet, but yes, that is my new favorite hack.
So I know that like Alexa will tell me, oh, if I buy a book, it's time for you to, it'll just all of a sudden, it's time for you to leave a review. Has Alexa done that to you?
I leave reviews like right after, so Alexa won't have to remind me. So yeah, maybe I didn't have it. Yeah, I haven't. She hasn't told me that, but I've only listened to one book that way so far. So yeah, I do listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah. So yeah, Alexa's pretty amazing, but I haven't really figured out all of her things that she can do. So she can read my book to me.
She can read your book to you, and it has to be on Kindle. And then you download the Alexa app, and then you go into the Alexa app and it'll say, what do you want me to play? And you can click on your Kindle book, it'll give you all the options of everything that's on your phone or your device. And then, yeah, your Kindle stuff will be there, and she'll read it. And she has different voices even for the different characters. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not like an audiobook, and you can't do it faster, because I like to listen to things faster.
Me
you can tell
too.
by how fast I talk, right? But yeah, you can do it faster, and it's not perfect, but she does have different voices. And I did I listened to Christina Benjamin's book that way, and it was pretty good. Yeah, the character voices were good.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So I'm definitely going to have to look into that. But I do like to listen to the books really fast because it's just easier that way and, you know, quicker. So I don't know. I don't know if I can listen to a book at a regular speed. I'm so used to.
Right. Yeah. So that was
Yeah.
the only thing. But she had a shorter book, so it wasn't that bad. But yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. So this is my favorite question to ask my authors. What experience do you want your readers to take away from your books?
I want my readers to experience a Hispanic character in a fantasy world. So, you know, I'm Hispanic, a Garcia. And so when I was young, and I was, of course, like most avid readers, just pouring myself into books, I could never find a book about a Hispanic anyone, a girl or a boy. I couldn't find anything. So I never was able to see myself in print, right? And as I got older, of course, I was like, did a lot of detours with my life and my career. But when I finally started writing, I was like, okay, I'm going to write the story and have this amazing Hispanic family, which is me, represents me and who I am, right? So like the things that we do, the things that we say, and a big part of the Hispanic community is religion. And so he's Catholic, and his Catholic faith is a big part of him, like it is for me. So that's kind of woven into all of my books, you know, wearing the cross, going to church, going to midnight mass on Christmas Eve, and just all these things, and the food. So I kind of wanted that in all of my books, and it's all woven in. And I wanted that to be representative of my culture. So that's kind of like my big thing. I've had some people ask me, well, why don't you write about the Hispanic experience, right? So, you know, growing up, I didn't have a whole lot, and things were really hard, and I had a broken family, and I just I had like kind of a sad sob story of a life, but I don't want to write about that, right? I don't want to write about this hard reality. I wanted to bring this person into this fantasy world because I wanted to write what I love to read, and I love to read fantasy. I don't ever read anything that is like a biography or something that is true to an experience of a race or a culture. I don't ever read that. I always find myself in the fantasy world. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to bring the Hispanic experience into this fantasy world. So that's kind of what I want my readers to know they can find in my books.
That is really neat. I love that you can bring those characters to the fantasy genre, because yeah, it's so important for people to see themselves in books.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing. That's the big thing. So the Hispanic experience.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, it has been so much fun talking to you today. It's so great to catch up with you, Rose, and I can't wait to read your Fae book, and we're going to trade, and then we're going to talk some more.
I am excited. We need to set it on the calendar. We can like read, and then we can like talk all about it. Oh, I need to get your newsletter too.
Okay. Yes, I will send you all the links. Tell us where we can find you.
So my website is rosegarciabooks.com. And when you go to my website, you'll see all of my social links on there. And of course, you can see all my books and my upcoming appearances and things like that.
Fun. Yeah. And you told me earlier that you have your puppies on your Instagram. So I'm excited to go check those out more as well.
Yes, I try to add my little babies in there because my real babies, my children, they really don't want to be on there. But actually, if you go on there, you'll see them too. I just have like a mix of my books and a mix of my life. So it's a good representation of me and who I am.
It's great to get to know authors that well. So thank you so
Yes.
much, Rose, for being here. And I will talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.